Hello and welcome to another episode of Reach the Masses, a show about two friends talking about the pulp culture that they love. I'm Travis.
And I'm Heather.
In today's episode, we are going to be looking at 2 episodes of American Gods and finishing another good round of Would You Rather. Last week really got away from us, particularly me.
This week kind of got away from us as well, but
We're a little bit behind. So last week we said we were going to be doing Buffy season 5. We'll put that
we
on.
lied.
We're liars. It's our show. We can do what we want.
We do what we want.
Whatever. I do what I want.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a hold on Buffy, and we'll catch us up with American God. So this episode will be covering episodes 6 and 7.
Yes. The Murder of Gods and A Prayer for Mad Sweeney.
Mad Sweeney. Okay, so starting it off, we'll go with episode 6, which wasn't too memorable in the sense...
It furthered the overall arc, but it wasn't magnetic like some of the other episodes have been.
It did send the story moving forward. It picks back up with Shadow and Wednesday and repercussions of Shadow being stabbed.
Yes, and having the thing in his gut.
Yes, and Wednesday pulling it out.
It does start off with another vignette. We get a taste of Mexican Jesus and his current crucifixion, and I wonder how many times...
That's how the episode starts, yes.
I wonder myself how many times that happens. Like, is that like a regular thing that he does, getting crucified by the white dudes at the border, or, like... Because it seems like it would happen fairly often in today's current political climate. And this episode was actually very overtly political, unlike any of the other episodes, which was surprising to me.
And we were talking prior about how long it takes to do production on this. So they had to have filmed this before probably or right around the election time. So they were probably aware of it while they were filming.
Well, I mean, this is America. You can look at that and put it at just about any time.
Well, that
in
particular topic,
our country's at least since the 1950s,
right? It
would fit in any.
But it was more heightened. It's gotten more heightened here recently, and that's interesting because I wasn't expecting. I mean, once they started the episode that way, I knew where they were going. But it was interesting because Wednesday had mentioned a couple episodes back that he was already in America, and now he's crossing over. So
right. So how many times has he? Like,
is this
like his regular thing for him?
Yes, he goes back
Mexican
and forth.
Jesus does this on the regular.
Yes.
And white Jesus needs a little more hard times, according to Wednesday.
According to Wednesday. So yeah, that was just an interesting thing because the way it was shot as he's dying, or as he's getting shot by a gun that has engraved "In God We Trust." So it was
with the rosary hanging off the guy's fingers.
Symbolism
and it was. I read one article that said, this symbolizes how American Christians tend to preach one message but act out another.
Yeah.
For not every American Christian. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this very polarized majority of them do that thing. And this kind of brought that to the forefront and really kind of shoved it in viewers' faces.
How it works, yes.
Yeah.
Because they have that little vignette like they normally do, and then that's all you see from that. And then most of the rest of the episode is in regards to Shadow and Wednesday. And you also get a little bit more of... You follow up with Mad Sweeney and Laura and the cabbie.
Salim, yeah.
Salim. It kind of goes into... Because where it left off, Mad Sweeney was running from the police department. Shadow and Wednesday was running. They get back in their car and leave. And as they're leaving, Laura is right behind them. Wednesday sees her, changes the mirror.
Yeah. Make sure that Shadow does not see her.
Yeah, turns up the radio, and then Mad Sweeney meets her and kind of does a deal with her, saying, if I take you to someone that will resurrect you properly, I can get my coin back.
Right, because he can't take his coin from Laura. It can only be given freely.
Right.
But one more stop on the Jesus train. I loved the visual effects.
On the Jesus train?
Yes.
Okay.
The visual effects of him being shot and that first shot going through that hand, showing, representing the crucifixion.
The stigmata, yeah. Kind of like, yeah.
And then the heart
Forming,
and
yeah.
the tumbleweed coming across his head. Those visual effects were amazing, and they sent such a message. Like, you could make zero mistake. Even, barring walking on water, that could have been John. We don't know. But then you see those visual effects, and just the way they did that was I was just blown away by that from a cinematographic point of view.
Right. No, it was very well shot and made, and it was actually nice to be able to see it, because usually when here recently, I don't know, trends as movies or TV shows, when they film something at nighttime, you don't see
Yeah.
it. You hear it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah. But
have-
this, you actually, there was moonlight, the perfect kind of white moonlight on it.
Right.
And just those visual effects, I was just stunned.
It was
by
very
them.
well done.
Yes, it really was.
So that kind of does go back, though, to because that's what Mad Sweeney is talking about, is I guess he's referring to Jesus can resurrect her properly, or another God can. He doesn't specifically say it, but when you say resurrection, you typically think of
Yeah, Christians tend to think of Jesus.
So he makes that deal with her, so they're going to steal a vehicle. And it's very interesting because the one she picks, Mad Sweeney can't do anything because it's too new. It's too new of a technology.
Yes.
So he goes to the
Which I
cab,
enjoyed.
which ends up being the cab driver that we saw.
With
Salim,
the gin.
with
Yes,
the-
it was
with-
Salim.
And he's actually looking for the gin.
Yes, which doesn't happen in the book.
No.
Like, this is all, like, off script.
Everything
per
with
book.
Mad Sweeney and Laura and... Yeah, this is not in the books. This is all new territory.
Just like the god Vulcan. Not in the book at all.
Okay, we'll go on. Yeah, that's where. So that's their story. Mad Sweeney, Laura, and Salim are heading to Kentucky, is where they were going.
So maybe there's a Jesus in Kentucky?
Maybe. I don't know. That's what. It's the United States of America, and they say whenever the whole premise of this is that they bring their gods with them.
Right. From
So if
from
there's
their
a
country of
if there's
origin.
a bunch of them, enough of them, they pray to this god. That god appears in America.
Right. If there's enough belief, if it's strong enough.
So that's why there is a Mexican Jesus, and there's a United States Jesus.
Yeah.
But would there be, depending on would it break down even farther? Would there be a Baptist Jesus? Would there be a Lutheran Jesus?
A
Would there be
Presbyterian, a Catholic.
Yeah.
Okay. I see where you're going with this now, and that's a very interesting question to pose.
Because there's so many different factions of Christianity. Would that mean that?
Yes.
I mean, they're all saying Jesus, but it's
their version.
It's their version of him.
There's been a lot of schisms in the Protestant church. You're correct.
So that's kind of what I was wondering too, is if that's where, and that could just be where he was at that time. There could just be one. They could have kept it simple and say that's one.
Right, yeah.
For America, and one for Mexico, and one, and that's where he just happened to be at the time.
Yeah.
So they're going towards that. Then we go back to Shadow and Wednesday, and they go to Vulcan, which they kind of show toward the beginning. It kind of shows a factory.
And best boss ever, and this guy's walking through, and everybody's happy, and it's very, very white.
Yes.
Like, there is not a colored person of any color other than white in this town.
Correct.
Until Shadow comes to town, of course.
And then he, the best boss ever, the foreman manager, he slips on a railing and goes into the lava. The foundry is sacrificed by lava.
Yeah, a blood sacrifice.
And it ends up going into what you find out the factory he's making is bullets. So each one is his own sacrifice.
And that's why they never fixed the railings. It was mentioned between...
that there's only
Mr. Wednesday was telling Shadow about that.
Says that they there's not that many accidents, but there's enough to keep it going.
Yes. Enough to keep the sacrifice.
So that's the main reason they're there, obviously, is Wednesday's out still recruiting for his army to go up against the new gods. And they're there to persuade Vulcan because obviously that whole town is led by him, and there's enough juice, if you will,
yeah,
or there's enough.
He has transferred to the modern age. Vulcan has. He's not.
He's adapted.
Yeah, he's not one of the old gods, waiting. He has done what they have not done.
Yes, he's
and
adapted
he has
to
transferred.
He's adapted to the situation.
He has industrialized his worship.
Right.
There's lots of Nazi imagery in that town, like an amazing amount, actually.
And that's interesting because there's I don't know if it's Vulcan in the book, but there is this.
It's not. Vulcan is not in the book at all.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. But there's that scene though. When they get there, Wednesday is offering him a bottle, and I can't remember what he calls it. Mm-hmm. And in the book, the bottle represents pure prayer, like it's a bottled prayer. And he was going to use that to persuade Vulcan in the show. In the book, there's something similar to that where he offers someone a bottle to persuade them to come with them to join the old gods. But he's offering that, and Vulcan's like, I've got plenty of that because he's industrialized. That's not nothing for him. He's got loads of prayer, and he's
from all over the country. I mean,
because each one of his bullets is a prayer.
Because we are Americans and we love our guns.
Worshiping the bullet and the gun.
Yes.
So he's doing well. So Wednesday,
and it's never on the nose, but it's subtly put in there that Wednesday knows that Vulcan has indeed made a pact with the new gods.
Because he's there trying to recruit him, but he gets... it's kind of like a cat and mouse thing, because Wednesday, you can kind of see that they're playing off each other, but he wants Vulcan to make him a weapon, and Vulcan's kind of like a gun, a bullet, and,
right.
And Wednesday wants to go old school, and he makes Vulcan make him a sword.
Gorgeous sword.
And then that's where the
double cross comes in.
Right. Wednesday's holding the sword. He kind of tells Vulcan, I knew you were against me. And then he chops off his head.
And pushes him into the lava, and he becomes his own blood sacrifice, which then becomes a blood sacrifice to Wednesday.
Right. It goes to Wednesday.
Vulcan's blood is then in those bullets.
And then Wednesday pisses in the thing to curse.
Yeah. Which curses were mentioned at the beginning, and then this is where it comes full circle and is kind of explained. Is, here's a curse for you. Because he asked Shadow if he knew anything about curses.
Right. And then Shadow's just along for the ride. Shadow, in this episode, is basically looking uncomfortable throughout most of the episode.
I don't blame him.
He was hurting at the beginning of it because he had that tree thing in him, and then he goes to this place where literally...
It's all white folks.
All white people, open carry, like grandmas with AK-47 strapped to their backs.
Nazi imagery galore.
Yeah, and then it brings back up lynching. Imagery for Shadow, and then Shadow is all shocked about what Wednesday does.
He really is. He's quite shocked, like bent over, like heaving, shocked.
Right, that Wednesday did this, and then it ends. That's how Wednesday and Shadow's story ends on this episode. And then to go back, I missed it. They were going to Kentucky, but didn't they detour?
They were supposed to be heading
This
one
is back
direction,
to
and then
Sweeney.
they headed to Kentucky. Laura pulled Salim and pushed the steering wheel and had him curve another way while Mad Sweeney was in the
asleep.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they ended up back at the alligator bar.
And because she wanted to go, kind of give her family the last FU, if you will.
Okay.
And that's where they go, and they end up at Jack's Crocodile Bar.
Right.
I'm still waiting for the second half of that joke to come in.
Yes, we said that was the beginning of a good joke. We just don't know the ending.
A leprechaun and dead wife walk into a crocodile bar.
Yeah.
But how does that
Fill
end?
in your own joke.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Tell us something. Give us the ending to that joke because we really want it.
I think it's just going to be like Alice in Wonderland about, that riddle about the crows. You know what I'm talking about?
I vaguely have a recollection. I can't sit here and quote it.
Yeah.
You gonna sit there and look it up?
Yeah, I'm going to sit there and look it up. Because it's prevalent, maybe?
Relevant?
Prevalent.
It's all those things in one.
Yes, it was a raven, sorry. It was the Mad Hatter. Why is a raven like a writing desk? And then you never get the answer.
Right. Yes.
So that was it. And there's actually people trying to...
So, does anybody know why Raven is like a writing desk?
I think it's one of the... That's what I'm saying. This joke is going to be like that. There's not going to be an answer. There's not supposed to be an answer.
But I swear in some fan fiction or some Tumblr post or something, I have come across why Raven is like a writing desk. Now, have I really? I don't know. I could be making that up, but I'm fairly certain I'm not.
Possibly. Okay, so that wraps up episode 6.
Yes.
Okay, so we move on to episode 7, which was last Sunday, to get us back on track as far as us doing...
But 0 Wednesday, 0 Shadow.
Yes, this episode is entitled...
A Prayer for Mad Sweeney.
Prayer for Mad Sweeney, yes. And this is basically how Mad Sweeney eventually came to the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a minute, but the actress who's playing Laura does a double duty this week.
Yes. She plays Essie McGowan as well in the past.
Yes.
Starting in what, 1771?
This actually happens in the book, Essie, the story of Essie.
Essie.
Mm-hmm.
It's Essie Tregowan in the book.
And she's not Irish.
She's Cornish.
She's Cornish. But it's basically, this tells the story of her and her keeping the ways of the old folk and the leprechaun and the fairies and things of that nature.
In the book, it was the green man, right? Like it never overtly says leprechaun.
I don't know, but everything else pretty much stays true to the book. She comes here, she finds someone and and comes back to England. She becomes a thief.
Because the world had already labeled her a thief, so she went ahead and become one.
Right, because she was having sex with the
son of the people she was working for.
Yes, and then he gave her something to betroth her, but when push comes to shove...
He did what most white boys do, and that was deny it. If, they're below your stature, you got to deny it.
So she gets labeled as a thief, and then back then... Which I found this was interesting, was that the story is being written by
Mr. Ibis.
I figured that would be easy to do Anansi to do these stories, because it kind of gives you an answer of who's writing these stories, because coming to America, through these cutaways in the earlier episodes, and you never know who it is, and then you come to find out that that's who's been writing these stories.
Mr. Ibis, yeah. And I love that Jackal makes beer. I was like, this is fantastic. He makes home brews. Like, that's such a modern thing to incorporate, and I really love that he deals with all this death and stuff, but he also creates.
Right. So
I just love that juxtaposition.
I thought it would be interesting if they had, but I guess these are actual stories of real people, and Anansi is more story fiction. These are non-fiction.
Yeah, this is the coming to America, not of the gods, but of the people who believe in the gods.
Correct.
Which is what Mr. Ibis tells.
So it tells her story. She's back then, if you are a thief, you can have a reprieve by becoming an indentured servant and come to America, sometimes 3.
America wasn't always
7.
Home of the free, land of the brave. It was like, come here and escape getting your ass hanged.
Right. And the earlier part of America, yes, there was a lot more indentured servants that were from England, but they were set amount of years.
Right. The difference was white folks could eventually get out of it, whereas black folks could not.
And eventually that's where they started doing the slaves and started doing more African American, from Africa, those slaves, as opposed to the indentured servants.
After we ran out of Native Americans, that is.
Right. So yeah, we were fun. Fun history.
White people are great. Can you tell?
So she gets caught with this. They give her the option of being indentured servant. She's on the boat. They show the horrible conditions.
She marries the captain.
She marries the captain and comes back to England. And then as soon as he leaves again, she immediately robs him blind and becomes a thief.
Yes.
And lives on her own.
And one fabulous thing that I loved about this, and I always mention the music because music is kind of my thing, they don't use any kind of classical music whenever they're telling Essie's story. Like, they literally use music from the 50s and the early 60s telling her story. And the songs that they use fit so perfectly. Even though this is taking place in, like, 17 whatever.
Right.
Like, they use that music to such an advantage. And, like, Keep Away from Runaround Sue is playing whenever she starts stealing her husband's stuff and leaves. And, like, they just done this so perfectly. I was just so amazed and sat with a huge smile on my face anytime any Essie scenes came up. But for the music alone.
Right.
Like, those scenes wouldn't have been as dynamic for me had they not used that music. Right. Like, they just made it, it gave it this levity that it didn't have otherwise.
Again, yeah, music helps improve the scene.
But it just, had they used something else besides that, it would have taken it a different way. Yes, absolutely.
And then throughout this, you see that she's always keeping to the traditions of the fairies and the
which her
leprechauns.
grandmother told her about.
Yes, like she leaves cream and milk out. The best offerings go to the gods, and bread right before the harvest. All of that she continues to do. And then they say that the gifts of the fairy are fickle. There's good winds and bad winds. And then she gets caught from her thieving, and then she goes and says that she's to be hanged. And if we know what we know now, when she's in the jail in England or Ireland, wherever
she's in England at that point.
We run across Mad Sweeney, but that shouldn't be the Mad Sweeney of America.
No,
that should be the Mad Sweeney of England.
Right, but I guess maybe it's her Mad Sweeney, and it's her leprechaun, and that's who she takes with her. That's who she brings with her to America.
Right.
Because it's belief that fuels these things. Well, it's not necessarily that they exist. It's the belief in them.
We're jumping a bit, yes.
So, I mean, if you want to take it there, I'll take it there.
No, okay. Let's finish the train, and then we'll go back to the train of thought. Okay, so she has this discussion with Mad Sweeney. He's in the other cell. And even then, they gave her moldy bread. She still put some of the bread up on the windowsill for offering. And he gives her some advice, or he just, he talks to her.
Right.
And then come to find out, if they say that you never know when you're going to the gallows, that it could be today or the next day. Come to find out, the guard over her is sweet on her. He gets her knocked up, basically.
Yeah.
She
pleads her stomach.
She offers herself to him.
Which, I mean, women are wont to do, because you kind of have to sometimes.
So this episode is a lot of oppression. So hopefully the would you rather questions will be good. Would you rather be a slave owner or, damn it? No. So with her with child, the judge takes mercy on her and then sends her back as an indentured servant. And she, when she gets back to the Americas, it's in the Carolinas.
And the guy who buys her indenturedness
is in need of a wet nurse.
Yes, because his wife had died in childbirth.
And in the book, they talk about this more, that in this one, it seems like the kids are fine, but in this,
Right. In the book, her son is weaker, right?
his son is weaker because the first goes to the
dog.
daughter,
Yeah.
and then she falls in love with. Well, she doesn't fall in love, I guess, would be the thing.
As close as she can to being in love, she comes to it with this guy.
And all the time during this time, the kids are growing. She's telling them the stories of the old days and keeping the beliefs alive.
And they believe it because she believes it.
Right. And then the owner who owns her, because the indentured servitude wasn't for a time period, it was for life. So
it wasn't for life. It was until you paid your debt.
No, they said that in the show.
Oh, okay.
They said that it could be 3 years, 7 years, or for life.
Oh, okay.
And then for her final punishment, that her indenturedness would not have a time limit, is what they say in the show. Because that's what she was saying was, I'm an indentured forever, and you can't have your way with me. And then he proposes to her, and then they get married. And
yes.
Then
and so ends her indenturedness.
And then she becomes. They have more kids, and she continues on. But then around the time of her, and she continues on with the prayers and the.
She brings her belief of the leprechauns with her.
And then she's going to be. It's when she's talking to the grandkids. She continues on and tries to do it to the next generation, that she realizes that it's scaring them, or the parents are like, "Cut it out, Grandma,"
Right.
Paraphrasing. So she keeps it to herself at that point. And then it ends as her as an old woman.
Played by the same actress who played her grandmother.
Yes, I saw
Fenella
that too.
Flanagan.
I saw that she played her as an old woman. And at the very end of her life, Mad Sweeney shows up. And she recognizes who he is, in the sense of, and he's like, I mean you no harm. And then, do you want to dance? And then it cuts to... over the, like, cutting to the view of Ireland, over looking like a aerial shot. Thank you. That's what it is.
I was waiting to see where you were going with that one. I was just going to let you have it out. Just write it
Aerial
out.
shot of Ireland, and showing the island, and it goes to a narrative point of view of they found her body half warm. And she was halfway shucking corn, or
the potatoes were halfway
peeled or something.
Yeah,
apples half peeled or something like that. So
we paid so much attention. Can you guys tell?
Yes. Well, that was the
those
crucial,
minor details are really right in there for us.
That will come into play later, whether or not it was apples or potatoes or corn. It all comes together in the end.
Now we're in a Linkin Park song. Like, what's happening
in the end?
In this podcast?
In the end, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
We tried so hard and got so far. In the end, it doesn't even matter.
And here we go.
All right, so that all is being told, but let's go back to what we were saying before. Was that Mad Sweeney of London's Mad Sweeney, or did she?
I think it was Essie's Mad Sweeney that she brought with her. I'm sticking to that.
Okay, I'm thinking not. Because when he shows up, he says, "You and a few others like you brought me over." Mm-hmm. So it's not just her. It's not just
I'm not
one
saying
person.
He's her Mad Sweeney.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it's just hers. I'm saying they had similar beliefs in this type of god, creature, bird, king, General Mills cereal guy.
Yes.
All in all.
Uh-huh.
And that's, hers was maybe the strongest, or just whatever, hers dominated. Because, I mean, Mad Sweeney's a lot of things.
What I'm asking, though,
okay,
we may be on the same side. We're just getting confused on the meaning.
Which tends to happen.
The actual physical person that was in London.
Right.
Are you saying he's the one that comes over?
I'm saying that maybe they just didn't want to recast that actor and confuse audiences, because they tend to think that we're all dumb.
Okay, because I'm thinking the one in London was Mad Sweeney, but it was a different Mad Sweeney.
And it could have been.
And then she comes over and then makes Mad Sweeney with the others, and then that's a different Mad Sweeney. Because in the book, there is a Wednesday, and then when he goes off at the end, we find another
Wednesday in Reykjavik.
Yeah. And he looks a lot like that one. So,
but he's different.
He's a little different, yes.
Yeah. Because it's belief that fuels these gods. It's
Right.
not. It's not that they actually exist. It's our belief in them that causes them. In this universe, it's our belief that causes them to exist.
So, I think, yeah. So I think we're on the same page.
We usually are. We just don't know how to
Articulate
say it the same.
Say it the same.
I don't know how to say it the same, man.
Okay, so all that in between all of Essie's
This is
story.
juxtaposed with Laura and Mad Sweeney's story in modern times with Salim.
That word a day calendar is coming out so well.
Right?
Juxtaposed.
Juxtaposed.
So all this is happening with Mad Sweeney and Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And Salim at the beginning. They stop, and you get introduced to the White Buffalo.
Yes, and his death, and that's what you get for... I loved whenever Mad Sweeney said that, and he was like, that's what you get for locking up a god or caging a god or whatever he said.
Or putting a god in a petting zoo or something
Yes,
like that.
yes. I was like, so
And I think-
kind of perfect.
And everything that I've read, just from people that I know who watch the show, like Mad Sweeney is becoming a fan favorite.
He is, and that worries me for where his character is going to go because I need it to have that tragedy that it had in the book, especially since he's become a more evolved and more in-depth character
Which
in the
that
show.
ending could happen. It will have more impact now that we've gotten
Could be.
more
Yeah.
info. My phone is blowing up and I'm on silent, so sorry, everyone.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Okay, so they're there with Mad Sweeney.
Salim is. They
Salim,
stop again because Salim is.
needs to pray.
Yes, he's doing his prayers. What did you think of the question that Laura proposed to Salim about does he love his God or is he in love with his God? Because those are two very, very different things.
Right. And I think a lot of people would answer the way that Salim did. Was like, I never thought of it that way, and I take it in a different way.
What did you think of that, though? Like, I'm not asking you about your religious predilections. I'm just asking you, what did you think of Laura proposing that question?
I think that's Laura trying to come to grips with things and trying to understand.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And she's just trying to get more of a feel for the world that she's now living in, that she's obviously a
Yeah, she's occupying this more surreal, more...
dead wife.
Yeah, dead wife space.
Yes. She's dead. She knows she's dead, and she's back, and she saw what she saw with the scales and the everything. I mean, everything she saw. So she's like, even though all this has happened to him and he's being exposed, Salim is still holding on to those prayers of faith.
Right. But who is he worshiping now? Is he still... Because he's seeking the jinn.
I think he's seeking the jinn, but I think he's
Is he still holding on to
I
his...
think he's still holding on to his other faith.
See, as a non-believer, as someone who doesn't have a religion, I'm always curious.
Well, if you go back,
It made me curious to see what the point of view of somebody who does have religion would be with
well,
that.
you could take it either way, because he made it a point, like, he's dealing with a dead woman and a leprechaun, and he knows this and
Yeah.
everything that's happened to him, but he still stands up to them to go pray.
Yes.
However,
And to seek his jinn.
yes, however, when we first meet him, he sits in that office all day and never gets up. He never goes and prays, never does anything.
That's true.
So he's had a religious experience with the jinn, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
And since then, he's more religious because he says, I have to pray, and like he stops to pray. And
Yes.
this is standing up to a dead woman and a leprechaun.
And this is also doing like Muslim prayers out in the open in the Midwest.
Right. So all of that concern, but when you first meet him, that first episode, he goes all day sitting there waiting for that appointment, and he never goes like, I've got to go pray, I've got to go do that. So I think
So he's got
having
a new
that
god now.
I don't think it's a new god. I think the jinn is part of that lore, and experiencing that confirmed and strengthened his faith to where it is now.
Right.
My take.
Which is a good take. I mean, like, I don't have a lot to say on the subject. I just loved the proposition of the question, and
Right.
because I mean, maybe I stand a little where Laura stands because she doesn't really have any sort of religion or faith or any of that holding her in this place, but now she's experiencing all these supernatural
And
things.
she's trying to find a spot. She's
Yeah.
trying to find a foothold.
Yeah, and she's, which they juxtapose that with Essie's story. So, I mean, you have to include all that in there. But I thought it was very interesting.
And it's interesting because it's the same actress playing Laura, and Essie was so about the faith,
Yes.
and Laura is
was
not. So we get the scene when they're doing the prayer, when she's asking that question. Mad Sweeney goes to take a pee,
Yeah.
whatever, and then a raven, a crow, which is Wednesdays, is harassing him.
Yeah.
And he's saying,
Presumably talking to him.
because he's talking to him like he is speaking to him, or telling him to leave him alone and all that. And then we get the first mention of the house on top of
The house on the hill, the house on the rock.
Yes, on top of the rock, which is going to be the meeting place later on in the book, and I don't know when in the TV show. But he tells Laura that, and then Laura tells Salim so that he could go find the djinn. So they go steal an ice cream truck.
Which was funny.
Because she's old, she's dead and rotting, and staying cold helps.
Yeah.
So it's a really funny scene where they're trying to steal it, and then the guy's saying,
he's implying, and Laura's not catching that he needs to look like he's been in a kind of kerfuffle.
Yeah.
He needs to look like he's had a little bit of hell beat out of him.
Is that what Trump was trying to spell? Kerfuffle?
Kerfuffle. Dude's needing, in his polo shirt, he's needing to look like he's had a little bit of...
Like he tried
He's
to
been
stop
robbed.
him, like he got jumped. Yeah. And Mad Sweeney says he needs me to hit him, and he's like, I don't want you to hit him. I hurt
you
him.
look like you could kill me.
Yeah, and then he says, hurt, and then Mad Sweeney, trust me, you don't want her to hit you.
Yeah. I mean, when you kick the guy in the balls and his whole spine goes flying out of his body, like, you don't want her hitting you.
Exactly. So Mad Sweeney hits him, they get in the truck, and they're driving. And it's really cold, and Laura's happy as a lark because she's cold.
She's kind of put a pause on the whole rotting thing. Mad Sweeney's freezing his ass off.
Yes, because you see his breath, that was computer generated.
And I liked when he got the ice cream out, and she explained to him that no, since none of that's connected anymore, she really doesn't need to eat it.
Which is fine. I'm glad that she mentioned that, but then she doesn't. She mentions that her heart beated.
Yeah, but only when she kissed Shadow.
Yeah, but I mean that's not
like
attached.
How, right? Well, you got to take it on faith, man.
Okay. So
that's a bitch, isn't it?
You see bunnies.
Yeah, and who is the bunny? Is that Easter?
That's what I'm assuming.
Is that Kristen Chenoweth being like, "Hey, I'm here,"
or sending one of her minion bunnies?
Right, because she's got bunnies, which Anya would
hate it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Anya would hate her.
Yeah.
They show you driving, and they show a bunny, and I'm like, okay, there's a bunny, and I was like, okay, and then later the bunny jumps across the road, which causes Laura to swerve and flip.
Yes.
Flips it, and now this is where it gets interesting because she gets flown out of the car again. She's never learned her lesson about seatbelts.
I know. I was thinking, you should know how to navigate this. You're already dead. You dead because of a car. You already dead. You dead because of a car accident. You should know. You should know how to navigate that. Yet, bitch dies again.
Yes, because when she gets flying, her chest opens up, and the coin.
Her Y incision.
Yes, her incision opens up, and the coin comes out. And as soon as the coin comes out, she's back to dead.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know what she experienced or not, because it doesn't show that. Like if she's back over there with.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't give you the behind the scenes of her.
But then
second death.
Mad Sweeney wakes up, and then he goes and sees his coin. He grabs it, he kisses it, and he's like, "Yes, I'm back to where I need to be. I've got my coin. I'm where I'm at." And this is all happening right around that time is where you see Mad Sweeney come back and kind of doing a favor for Essie, for Essie. kind of showing up at the end. And
Got her death.
and that's this Mad Sweeney. This is this Mad Sweeney.
Yeah.
And you kind of see a little bit of heart for Mad Sweeney because he looks down at her. First he says I'm assuming some
He
swear words.
curses in Irish.
Yeah, Gaelic, Irish, something he was screaming, and then he goes down and he puts the coin. And before he does that though, it cuts back to when she dies the first time, and he was there when she died.
Yeah,
and
he was the cause of the car accident.
that's what it's implying, and it was Wednesday that helped
Ordered him to
do it because that crow is there as well, because he looks up to the crow and says it's done. Mm-hmm. Tell Wednesday it's done. So he was part of
this.
The
Also
reason,
gives you
more understanding of
that how many strings Wednesday is actually pulling. Like he's not just this guileless god, fumbling his way into this. Like he's got some behind the scenes stuff going on.
right.
And this kind of gave you a little bit of insight into that.
But he puts the coin back.
Mm-hmm.
He puts her organs back in, and he puts the coin on her chest, and it absorbs, and then immediately he gets punched in the face
Yeah.
by Laura, and then she flips the truck back up and then gets back
One-handed, might I add. She gets up, turns that truck back over, and they take off.
And I was hoping for a moment between her and Mad Sweeney, like, oh wow, you did that, but
Yeah.
she acted like he was over her trying to get the coin or something because she immediately punches him.
Right. But then that speaks to his character, that he's not, trying to get sympathy from her.
Right.
And saying, oh, well, I just did this great thing for you, be appreciative, bitch. He's not doing that.
Dead wife.
Yeah, dead wife.
Which, yeah, I'm loving that they're expanding the character of Mad Sweeney and doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to end it. I mean, if they end it the way they do with the book with Mad Sweeney, it will have more weight.
Yes.
But I'm enjoying it so far. So there's no Shadow, no Wednesday. Next week is the final episode. We're already at the end of season 1 of American Gods, and so far this season, other than the one episode, has been pretty solid.
Yeah, I loved though that they're only doing 8 episodes, but they still took time out to do kind of a filler episode and give you some explanation, because that's what this episode was.
So there was 2 episodes really that don't have Shadow and Wednesday's story moving forward. There was the backstory. Shadow's in it, but the backstory of Laura, and then this one.
Yes.
And this one was much better than.
Oh yeah, I
than
loved
the Laura
this.
one.
I loved this episode. There were just so many things to be delighted about in this episode, and all the parallels. Just they worked it out so perfectly, and I hope they really take it somewhere.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I know the next episode we get Easter will be there.
Mm-hmm. Played by Christian Chenoweth.
And we will wrap up with the first season. So they have really they've not gotten very far in regards to the book. The book is very big. It's a very long.
It's a tome.
Book. It's a very good book. You should read the book. So if you're liking the first season, between season 1 and season 2, maybe you should read the book. We would highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way, on season 2, you could be all in the know.
And you'll get the little nods and all the fun stuff.
So far, where they have went away from the book has been okay.
Yeah, it's not been like, oh my God, why did they do this? It's been like, okay, I accept that in canon.
Except
Fine.
for maybe the episode 4 with Laura.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That
there were some questionable things there. I will admit that.
But you kind of see the range of the actress, since she played 2 roles in this one, how she could.
Right, Emily Browning did an amazing job. Like throughout the entire episode, and I went in blind. I kept questioning, well, is that her? Right. Isn't that her? That's her. No, that's not her. That's her.
And then that would bring up the other question: is you could ask the question: is does reincarnation exist in this universe? And
right. They can totally take it there if they want to.
And is Mad Sweeney almost even thinking that reminds him of her?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why he did it. You
And
know,
it could be.
it could be. So
They can always take it there. They don't have to, but they've left it open. And as a
And the-
writer, I understand putting those little devices in
and
there
they
so
may
you can
be
come
and
back to it.
And as we'll say, they may come back to it, or they could just leave it up to interpretation and just let, why does a raven need a writing desk type thing, where it's
Yeah.
just left open ended and you don't get the answer, or or they may go and explain it the next episode. Yes, as reincarnation.
Yeah.
So digging it, we still got the first episode. Still got one more episode, not the first episode. We got one more episode left, and then we will move on. Next week we will probably do back to Buffy, and then we will do the final episode of.
Depending on
American
how
Gods.
good the final episode of American Gods
We
is,
may want to spend more time with the final episode.
right, and we may skip Buffy again, but
We'll get there,
yeah,
and then we'll finish up with a couple rounds of Would You Rather. I guess we could do 4 rounds because some of these cards could take. Some of them are quick, and some of them could go short. So you got 4.
I can absolutely because I have done all this shuffling throughout our conversation. I'm going to pick 4 from the top because I have massively
What?
shuffled mine. So I'm going to pull a U.
Okay, and just go from the top.
And go from the top.
Okay, so let's see. Who went first last? I think I went first, so you go.
You want me to go first?
Sure, you go.
All right, I'm going to pick my 4th card. Would you rather have the power to destroy cell phones used in movie theaters or give flat tires to people who cut you off?
Now, this is on the box. So I already knew about this question, so
Oh, well, that's fun.
I do the flat tire ones.
What was the question again? Let's see.
So you don't even.
Right, I read it out loud and
You
didn't
read
even,
it and everything.
didn't even pay attention.
Didn't even. You got to answer the question too. So
Okay, let's see.
reading it to yourself is great for
Okay.
podcast material.
Do the flat tires, here's my question. Do the flat tires come while they're driving or after they're parked? Because if it's while they're driving, totally not going to do that. That could be murder.
Right.
If it's after they're parked, fine. Grandma, you shouldn't have cut me off.
Let's see the question. So you said give flat tires to people who cut you off. It doesn't say when. So if I could choose when they get the flat tire, then yes, I would do it when they are parked and
And
stopped.
safe, yes.
Have the power to destroy cell phones used in movie theaters, even if you are being. That's like a $500-600 phone. That's
Right, sometimes $700-800. Like,
And honestly, I don't go to the movies enough to make that a issue. So
right.
that's why I would do.
And
the
I'm
flat
already
tire.
scared enough of going into movie theaters in this country, so I don't need another reason to be
Yes.
afraid.
So we will go with the flat. We'll both go with the flat tire as long as they are safe.
Yes, as long as the car's stopped.
Okay. Okay, so would you rather always speak as you just swallowed helium, or like you just swallowed a speak and spell?
A what?
You remember that when you were a kid, the old speak and spell, kind of like "How are you today?" You know, kind of like a
Like a robot voice?
kind of like a robot voice.
Well, hell, I don't really know what that is. I'm just faking it at the moment.
This is my old speak and spell. As you can see, cover the word. You can do the mystery.
Okay, here's a commercial for it.
Once a child wants to spell, the spell is cast. Speak and Spell from Texas Instruments.
That is correct.
With snap-in
You hear
modules
that?
with hundreds
Yes.
more words for growing minds.
You are right.
Speak and Spell,
Like
part
that.
of a family of products
Okay,
for
here's the
readers.
problem with that.
From the learning
I was
center
too poor
of
for things like that.
Okay.
I had one of those multiplication boards where you just push it down and it like showed you like underneath the answer was written
Uh huh.
and you could see it through the key. Like
Right.
there was no batteries required. It was cheap.
Uh huh.
Like that's the closest I ever came to anything like that.
Okay.
So
Well, you heard how it spoke.
right.
So
Read me the question again.
speak as if you just swallowed helium, so
Mm-hmm.
your voice would be very high, and, or as if you. Well, this is just swallowed a speak and spell, but it's implying that you
Sound like the
like,
speak and spell.
Yes.
Both of them are equally funny. So I guess I'm going to go with helium,
Okay.
just because it'll give you that good lightheaded feeling as well.
Well, it's not saying that you just swallow. It just sounds like you swallowed helium.
Right, but I mean, I'm going to go with, like, it gives you that lightheaded feeling, and that's what I'm choosing. Which one would you choose?
I don't know. I'll do speak and spell. Just be different.
Just to be different, of
And
course you
there's to be a robot.
Oh, aren't we already?
Okay, so this is okay. So your next round.
Next round. Okay. Would you rather experience everything your partner thinks and feels for a day, or cause your partner to forget one thing about you? Oh my God.
Dun dun dun. Okay, read it back.
Okay. Would you rather experience everything your partner thinks and feels for a day, or would you rather your partner cause your partner to forget one thing about you? Like,
Forget.
forget? Oh my God, you're like Evil Willow in
It's-
Buffy
wait,
season
no, no, no.
6.
No.
Tabula rasa, tabula rasa.
It's forget one thing. And if I could pick
She intended one thing, bro.
forget one thing and I can choose. Like, oh, I didn't know you did podcasting. Yeah, I totally did. You forgot. And I'm done. It didn't say it was something major, like, it was just said forget
You know
one
as
thing.
well as I do that little things have big consequences.
Okay. Okay, so which would you choose? Is that what you were saying? Oh my God, because you have to answer it?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly right, because I wouldn't want either of these things. The consequences are just too vast.
I'm going in around of saying, like, if I can make them forget one thing about
Basically,
me.
you're saying you wouldn't want to experience or feel anything your partner feels. That is the other side of that question,
That is the
sir.
other side, yes. Well, it says experience it for a whole day, so
That would be horrible. I wouldn't want to feel or experience anything anybody else thinks for a whole day.
that's kind of like a walk a mile in my shoes. Or
Yeah, no, I
you
don't
can
wanna do that.
forget one thing, which it's not like you forget it forever. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't say
Right.
forever. So like, oh,
Okay,
I
okay.
didn't know that you played football in high school. Huh. I totally did. You must have forgotten.
Yeah,
and
okay.
be done.
Okay, I'm going to go with that one as well.
Okay.
I'm going to go with you on that one.
Yeah, so neither one of us want to walk on a mile in anyone else's shoes.
Nope, not ever.
Okay. Would you rather never use an air conditioner again or never use a microwave again? So you either can't use a microwave or air conditioner. Which one do you want?
Well, I'm a pretty good cook, but I'm also experiencing hot flashes. So, this is a tough question. I'm going to go with never use a microwave again. Because I can always make whatever on the stove.
It
on
says
the
air
cookery.
conditioner, so I
On the
would
cooker,
assume that
I
would
can-
mean in cars and stuff too, maybe?
Yeah, I would
don't know.
assume that
We're reading
cars
into
and
simple
household.
questions, diving in deep. That's us.
Yeah, that's the story of our entire lives.
The simple questions,
For the last 20 years.
diving in deep. Okay, so you would say no microwave.
No microwave. I can do everything on the cooker that I can do in the microwave, so.
Yes, people got along just fine without the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
People got along just fine with an air conditioning, but they did it all hot and sweaty.
Yeah, and I get stinky, so.
And thankfully, last week you didn't choose the glowing slime when you sweat.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so we're going to keep that one.
Okay. So I would also say no microwave because who wants to be hot?
Yeah. We're Americans. We need our cars and we need our air conditioner.
I want air conditioning. And okay, so that was mine. So you're up.
All right. Speaking of something pouring out of you constantly, would you rather
God.
would you rather have smoke constantly pour from your nose like a smoke machine, or one hand that faces backwards?
I just feel like that.
Yeah, it'd just be like that. He just turned his hand around.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
everyone that's listening. The hand.
See, I don't know. Like, I can't say exactly what I'm thinking with this.
Well, it says constantly smoke coming out of your nose.
Yeah. But that could be really funny.
For
Like,
how-
you could be like, I'm
for
so
how-
angry. And like snot. Or not snot, but smoke just
but
pour.
the way it's read is that it's constant, so it's not like I can
Right.
turn it off and on. It's
Right.
just
It wouldn't be just like-
constantly,
yeah.
and it's just you're in a Grateful Dead concert, or smoke on the water. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, your
Okay.
office is full of smoke, your house is full of smoke, your car's full of smoke. It's just constant.
Well,
smoke
there's
coming
been a
out.
few times in my life where I've been one-handed a couple of times because of a couple of surgeries.
And you're not necessarily one-handed. It's just you
Right,
have
but
to,
it's gonna make it weird. Like you're not gonna like want to get in the cookie jar like this and eat like this.
It would get some getting used to, but you would adjust better to that than having
Smoke. You think
come
so?
out of your nose at all. Smoke coming out of your nose at all times,
Well, I mean, I used to smoke years ago,
all the time. So when you come,
so it'd be
up-
like that all the
all the
time.
time.
Whenever I exhaled through my nose all the time.
yes, there would be smoke coming out all the time.
Okay,
it'd
if I could make it come out of my mouth occasionally, then I might go with the smoking. But I guess I'll have to go with the backwards hand thing, even though I've had hand issues in the past.
you've had hand issues, okay,
Yes,
and you've done well with one hand, though, right?
I have. Yeah,
So I mean,
I've adjusted.
and it's not like you still can't use the hand. It's just going to be on backwards.
Yeah.
All right, so this one. Okay, never have. Would you rather never have hot water for a shower or bath, or never use a refrigerator again?
I would never use a refrigerator again. I don't want cold showers. I want warm water to bathe in.
Okay.
I'm not friggin' Papa Ingalls like Pa Ingalls. I want my hot water.
Never have hot water for a shower or bath. So you can still have hot water for other things if you need it, but you just can't use it for a bath or shower, or never use a refrigerator again. Okay, so
There's ice.
there's there's ice. Okay.
I can use ice.
I would have to agree.
Also, going back, I could, take my thing back and have a microwave and just use microwave meals, so I wouldn't need the refrigerator anyway. I mean, if we're going to take it that far.
yeah, just buy your groceries every day
Yeah.
that you need for the day, and then have. It's weird. We want air conditioning and hot water.
It's like
We want
it's
hot
like
and
we're
cold.
modern humans. What is this?
We want our showers hot and our rooms cold.
Yes. Yes.
All right, I'll go with the refrigerator as well
Okay. Last one.
for you, and then I've got one more.
Last one for me.
Last one for you.
Would you rather disappear like Batman whenever you see someone you don't want to talk to, or cause telemarketers to twerk uncontrollably whenever they call you? Oh my god! This is the best questions ever! These are the best ever.
So far, this is probably the best question. God,
I need both of these in my life.
So you would disappear like Batman. So this one would be just like the ninja one, like we said, but there we don't smoke, but because Batman literally disappears.
Disappears,
and
yeah.
you don't-
Just gone.
Gone. Or whenever a telemarketer called you, you would make them twerk uncontrollably.
This is whenever I wish we had constant,
Surveillance.
no, not surveillance.
Big Brother.
No. You taking it some
You're-
scary places, man.
Well, no, I thought
all
it
I'm
sounded like
thinking,
you see
all I'm
your-
thinking is
see-
video calling.
Video
so,
calling, so you
So
can
like
watch
these
them?
telemarketers video call me, and like I know you twerking right now because you video calling me.
My thing is, okay, I'm trying to apply as much logic as I can to this
Okay, forget logic. Okay,
scenario.
okay, you go ahead.
If you're a telemarketer, say you're a telemarketer, you're calling me, and I have that ability,
Okay.
and you say, "Hello, I'm with da da da," and I start making you twerking, you're gonna hang up.
Yes.
So
it's kind of
you
perfect.
don't get to see it or hear it because they will immediately like, "What's going on?" and hang up.
Why is my ass moving this
Yeah.
way?
Yeah.
Twerking's ass, right? Yeah, it's
Yes,
ass.
yes.
It's like the ass claps from back in the day.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if you see anyone that you don't like, you're gone. You don't have to see them.
Like
You asked that
okay,
question to me, so
okay.
I got to make the decision. Ah, God.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you go ahead and then I'll tell you what I think.
I think I would go with the Batman.
With the Batman.
With the Batman, just because.
You can't go with the Wonder Woman.
Well, Wonder Woman don't
Shut
disappear.
up.
Wonder Woman just. Banana.
Yeah, those cellos come in. Anyway,
She goes
you-
heads on to somebody. She won't disappear.
can you
She
tell that we're excited about Wonder Woman?
Anyway, I would go with Batman just because there are probably more people that I would run into that I don't want to see me.
Right.
in the scope of my job and my life out and about, that I don't want them to see me and run into me.
Right.
So I would get more benefit out of that, because I never answer the phone when I know it's a telemarketer.
It's true. Yeah, I don't either.
So we have call waiting. I know it's a telemarketer. It's a number. So I would hang up. It's a great ability.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting, like you said, to have video chat at that point. But that would be my answer, just because I would get more benefit out of the Batman than the twerking. But that is a great question. So what would you do?
I have to agree with you on the Batman, because I mean there are so many. Like anytime I see anybody I know out in public, chances are I'm going to avoid you as best I can, or try to get out of it by just smiling politely,
So if this
or just act like I don't know.
So what
I don't
Heather
know
is
you.
saying is
I don't know you.
if this podcast takes off and we become famous, ha 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 ha, and you see her out, she's going to actively avoid you.
It's true. That, or I'm going to hire somebody to go down to the Walmart and do my grocery shopping for me. And go.
Okay, so my last one. So we both agree we would disappear like Batman. Gotham needs us. All right. Would you rather always have your fingers sticky with buffalo wing sauce, or feel constant brain freeze?
Okay, I don't know
None of
what
yours was really fun. Mine was just.
I don't know what fingers feeling sticky like that would necessarily mean.
I mean, it'd just be sticky, like if you had.
Because I don't eat buffalo wing. I'm not a sauce gal.
We'll just say they're like sticky. You know how when you have any kind of sauce on your fingers and they're sticky and
Okay, so
they're
like
constantly feeling.
some cheese from the Mexican restaurant.
Yes,
Okay,
something like that. Always.
but okay, can you eat it?
No. They just say that they feel that way.
Okay,
It says always have your fingers sticky with buffalo wing. Oh no, it says with buffalo wing. So there always will be sauce. So you can lick it and then it'll come right back. But it's always there.
okay. And what was the other part?
Feel constant brain freeze.
I'm gonna go, even though I don't like any kind of barbecue or any kind of buffalo wing sauce, I'm gonna go with that one just because I will never ever be hungry again.
Because
Who
you'll
wants
always-
brain freeze all the time?
Yeah.
I have enough headaches. I don't need more than that.
Yeah, brain freeze, if you've never had one.
Go do it. Go try it. Go get you a frozen Coke and try it out. You'll love it.
Just go get you some ice cream and just eat as fast as you can right now. We'll wait. and then
come back and tell us about it.
tell us how much
You
fun.
can tweet us about it on Reach the Mass.
Exactly. So that will wrap
And
it
that's
up.
just MAS.
I will go with the sticky fingers, I guess, because I just don't. The brain freeze isn't.
Yeah,
Who would want to have that? Like you said, always feel constant brain freeze. No,
I don't want that.
no, thank you.
I don't need that in my life.
Okay, so
I have children. I don't need that.
So that will wrap up Would You Rather. Good 4 rounds. And kind of like what Heather was segueing to, we do have a Twitter. It is
Reach the Mass.
at Reach the Mass.
REACHTHEMAS.
You can also find us. We also have a Gmail account. You can email us at reachthemass@gmail.com.
You can listen to us on archive.org. You can listen to us on youtube.com
Right.
at Reach the Masses.
Reach the Masses on YouTube. Also Reach the Masses on archive.org. If you
We're
want.
also on iTunes.
On iTunes. We've got lots of ways for you to hear us and respond to us, and we want to hear from you. We love to hear from you. We want to hear what you all think of the show. What did you think about the questions we talked about with American Gods? Do you agree with us about the faith and the different Jesuses and Mad Sweeney's theories? Are we crazy?
What did you think of Laura's question she posed to Salim?
Are we crazy, or are we right?
Are we crazy? Are we dreaming? Are we marrying a demon? Come on, it's a little Buffy season 6 for you, a little musical episode.
Is that season 6 or 7?
It was season 6. Once more with feeling.
Okay.
Don't question me on this.
I'm not questioning. I'm just asking, which is a question.
You're
But
not questioning, you're just
it.
asking.
I'm just asking in a general question. I'm not asking it as in like,
You're not
no,
like-
you're wrong.
You're not
It's season
questioning
7.
my logic.
Don't even question my insane troll logic. All right, so for this week, that'll wrap it up. I'm going to the beach. I hope to have this still edited and posted by the end of this week. But we
Also,
will,
hashtag Ding Dong You're Dead.
yes, we would love to have that be a Twitter thing, a hashtag thing.
Hashtag Ding Dong You're Dead.
We didn't get to watch House because we couldn't find it.
Yeah.
On anywhere that we.
Circa 1986, not House MD.
Right. No. And we also found out. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. We found out that Norm from Cheers is in the movie, as well as the main character is the one from America's Greatest Hero.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's just him. So, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Please reach us at all those places that we talked about. Until next time, I am Travis.
And I'm Heather.